Demon Readings. Hoodie. Slender's first proxy. Slenderman walked in the forest normally like he would always do on his daily routes, stalking children and such. He usually stopped at this particular park near an elementary school to watch and study the humans. On his way back he felt himself being watched. He turned sharply and quickly to see who would follow such a monster like him. But when he turned around, no one was there. The boy in the oversized beige-coloured hoodie noticed the tall man watching his schoolmates one afternoon. He would see this man there every day for the weeks to come. He wanted to ask the formally dressed man why he did such, but always got too nervous to go up and ask him himself. So the young boy decided to follow him. Slenderman smelt the human. The young child's fear was way too noticeable for him not to. He proceeded to approach the tree the hooded adolescent was hiding behind, but stopped. Slenderman knows he's scared. His job is to make children scared. That's just what he did. He turned and teleported away. The boy in the oversized hoodie waited a few seconds to turn around and see the tall man was there. He looked on the ground and found a tree branch. He picked it up and wielded it. He heard a gust of wind and spun around. The man was gone. The boy breathed heavy and started walking back to the park. He waited for his mum to come and pick me up. I can't believe I was too shy to approach him, the boy thought to himself. He lay down under a shady tree next to his favourite swing set. He stared up into the clouds and thought, why does he watch everyone all the time? It's so creepy. Someone needs to tell him to knock it off. He laid under the tree in the snow for about 15 minutes and would think to himself, why does he always dress so nicely just to look at people? Hey, come on, get in. He heard his mother shout from the car. Come in, the hooded boy said, jumping up and grabbing his school bag. He hopped in the back seat and the brother's boy shouted from the front. That's where my sweater has been, you little punk. Yeah, and it smells nasty, just like you, the hooded boy shouted. Sweetie, will you please take off that hood? It makes you look like a thug. Their mum asked. Oh, come on, Mum, I'm in 6th grade now. I can do what I want with my clothes, he begged. You mean my clothes, pipsqueak, the older boy in the front whispered. Fine, I know it's your hoodie, I was just borrowing it. Sheesh, it gets cold round this time of year. When the family got back home, the eldest son took the car and left to meet up with some friends. Why does he always have to leave? The boy asked his mother. Well, I'm sure over this weekend he'll spend some time with you, she said, smiling. Do you want some hot cocoa after I start up the fire? She asked him, kicking some snow away from the front door. Yeah, sure. The hooded child's life was unfulfilling. He was unhappy with home life. After his father died, he too felt there was no purpose of living. The hooded boy tried to commit suicide a number of times, but he could never pull through with it. All he had left of his dad was a butterfly knife. The Slender Man had confronted his stalker. He went back to his normal route and followed his scent. He was led to an old track home. The scent was strong, but it was even stronger in a different direction. So he followed the stronger scent. It was a boy in his late teens. He was at the park with some other human males. Slenderman studied his actions and plotted his death. No human was supposed to know that he even existed. He was eager to possess his life. He watched him live, and before a short hours, then he headed to his home, as the teen did. Ah, you're home. "Why don't you spend some time with that brother of yours?" their mum suggested. "Oh, all right," the oldest son said. He went up to his room and grabbed a small, clear tube filled with Lego and Bionicles. "Ah, for real? You'd actually hang with me?" the hooded boy asked. "Yeah, sure, I like Lego anyway," the older brother smiled playfully. Slenderman looked through the window at the two humans cheerfully playing building games. The scent was strong and his urge to kill was high, but he refrained. The weekend went by normally. Slenderman stayed at a distance. Slenderman watched his prey move about his normal lifestyle and do activities such as school. Monday night, while the youngest boy was sleeping, the oldest boy was talking to his mum. Slenderman thought he was telling her about her. He took this as a threat. But in reality, he was just asking to hang out with his friends, and she denied. His begged made the illusion that he was trying to convince his mum that the tall man existed. The oldest boy stormed off to his room without a word. Hoodie's Pove. Whoa, where am I? The hooded boy thought as he sat up. He was in the woods across from the park. He waited after school. He looked around and stood up and reached for something that caught his eye. "It's just a piece of paper," the boy said. He touched the wrinkled page nailed to the tree. It had a picture of a stick figure man surrounded by a tree and the word "No" written all over the page. "What am I supposed to do with this?" he said aloud. He put it in both of his hands and studied it. Before he ripped it off the tree, he turned around to be surrounded by black tentacles covering every inch of him until he screamed awake. He fidgeted around his bed, thinking of ways to protect himself until he remembered his dad's butterfly knife. He had left it for him. He slept with it in his hand just for safekeeping. He knew it was wrong, but the next day he decided it would be best to carry it around with him everywhere, so he did. The day went by and it was Tuesday evening. The two brothers just got home from school. "Hey, wanna hang out at the park?" the oldest brother asked his younger one. "I guess. I don't really want to," the hooded boy told me. "Ah, come on. How come?" he questioned. I don't know. It's just really stupid, creepy park." The oldest brother was in one of those moods where he wouldn't take no for his answer moods. "But yeah, I'll go." The brother was ecstatic by his answer. "Awesome, I'll bring the frisbee. Just let me grab Mom's car keys." "Here, you take the house keys," he said, throwing the keys on the chain to him. The boy in the oversized hoodie put the keys around his neck inside his jacket and then they left. Slenderman knew today was the day he would kill the oldest boy and his mother, possibly too. He was thinking she possibly knew about him as well. The two boys got in the car and drove to the park beside Slenderman's wood. They got out of the car and started passing the frisbee to one another. The hooded brother ran into the woods after the frisbee that had been thrown. He picked it up and stopped. He stared into the woods that surrounded him. "Come on, throw it!" The hooded boy could hear his brother yelling at him. But he just stood there, couldn't stop staring into nothing. The eldest boy walked over to the youngest one and rested his hand on his shoulder. "Hey, come on, what's up with you?" he asked. The younger brother just stared deep into the woods. "Oh, hey, cool!" the oldest brother exclaimed, ran over to what the boy was staring at. It's a weird drawing. I wonder what it means," the eldest brother told him. The hooded boy looked up at what he was looking at and filled with fear. "No! Don't touch it!" the hooded boy yelled furiously at his brother, remembering his dream. "Just don't!" his brother begged. "Well, why?" he said, ripping it down from this tree. Slender Man appeared from nowhere and attacked the Adderslane teen "Wait!" the hooded boy screamed, running up to the suited man. "You can't do this!" The hooded boy tripped on a tree stump, looked up in dismay. The tall man killed his brother by suffocation. Tears in his eyes, he stood up and ran towards the tall man. "Why would you do such a thing?" he screamed, running up to the tall man, making fists and beating him. He probably didn't do much damage, but at least he tried. "That dream I had, that was my fate," the hooded boy thought. "You did this!" he screamed at the tall man. The tall man set the lifeless body gently down on the snow. "How could you? I was the one that following you. Why didn't you kill me?" he screamed at him. Slender Man stood up straight and towered over the hooded boy. He had tears in his eyes. Slender Man had never seen a human in such distress like the hooded boy. With a tentacle he lifted the boy up and looked into his sad face. The hooded boy kicked and struggled to get away from him, fearing he would be crushed too. "This kid was the one who followed me," Slenderman thought to himself. The scent of the boy's brother was on the jacket he was wearing. "I followed the stronger scent, but it was really him." Slenderman caught his mistake, the hunting instinct to kill overpowering his thoughts. Slenderman saw the struggle in the boy, the fight, the energy, the power. "I wonder," Slenderman thought, "how useful could this human be to me?" The boy kept missing punches and the power to fight was strong, his adrenaline flowing, pumping through his veins. The boy was not scared of me like the other children were. He was more determined. He thought to himself silently, "What do I do with him? I killed his brother." Slenderman set the boy down in the snow next to his brother's lifeless corpse. "He can't hurt me even if he tried. But I wonder what he would do," Slenderman thought to himself. "I usually kill teenagers because if they told another human about me, they believed him, I'd be in trouble. But usually I don't kill children that often unless they are alone or unaware of my presence. But this kid knew of me and is really good at taking in his surroundings. I wouldn't be fun to kill it. It would just be cruel. And I usually kill to eat. This kid is different somehow. Why don't you fight back? You can kill so easily. Why don't you kill me too? I don't even want to say it. How could you do that?" he yelled over all of his kicking, scratchings and failed punchings. I leaned down to the small children. He had hate in him like no other. He witnessed his brother's murder. He's reaching the level of insanity where there is no turning back. He's driven to hurt me. I haven't even spoken to a human before, and I haven't spoken in years. I wonder if my English language is still intact. What can I say to calm him down and make him sane again? I stared at the boy. I think we're beyond that point. They will tell humans what happened and he'll go crazy and put the kid in an insane asylum. The humans would look for me. That wouldn't be good. But he stopped kicking and attempting to hurt me and fell to his knees. He looked at the snow and put his hands on his knees and paused. "Why did you do that?" he asked me calmly. I stood tall above the hooded boy, but I knelt down beside him and placed a large white hand on top of his shoulder. Then it was my turn to pause until I finally spoke. "I'm sorry." The boy made no physical struggle to move my hand. He heard my deep, frightening voice. He slowly turned his head up to look at me. You spoke." He chattered through the snow. The boy got up. The boy stood shorter than me, and I was kneeling. "Why don't you have a face?" The the boy asked me. He wasn't afraid of me. In fact, he was curious of me, like he had an interest. I was caught off guard by the question. I myself never questioned my appearance. I don't know how to answer that. I don't know how to answer the hooded questions, boy. I don't know, I said, looking sad into the snow, my head in a downwards position. Oh, well, then why are you always wearing a suit? This boy was very interested in me. I just killed his brother and he's asking about my appearance? I don't know. Why do you not run like other humans? I asked in return. He stepped back a few feet from me and looked me up and down. He has this confused look on his face, like he was trying to figure me out. Well, I haven't a clue. I guess you look cool to me, that's all. But I think I know why other people don't like you. I was intrigued by his answer and lifted my head up in interest. Well, you dress very formal and you don't have a face, he said, taking a short pause. People usually can tell a person is nice or not by the way they look. And since you don't have a face, it's kinda hard to tell if you are good or bad. His answer seemed intelligent. Precise. I would have never thought a human would be afraid of someone who was formally dressed. He continued, and also you're really tall. You know, compared to me. These were true facts about me. I stood up tall out of the snow. So there are no humans this height? I asked him. No, I think you are the only one, he said. I sadly looked down at the snow. So, what's your name? The hooded boy asked me. I vaguely remember the time I was mentioned in the newspaper article. Humans call me all sorts of things. Tall man, tree man, slender man was my most recent. Humans call me Slender Man, I replied. Okay, I'll call you Slender for short though, the boy said, looking at his brother's body. Slender, why did you kill my brother? He asked me. I was nervous to reply. I was supposed to kill this boy, but he's not really a threat or a target anymore. I felt emotions inside me. Like, I feel so bad I did it. I had to, I told the hooded boy. He was my ride home, and you killed him. The boy's reply was with tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, I wish I could fix it. I told the boy, and then a thought came to my mind. He doesn't need to go back. If he did, they would send him away. But if he stayed with me, no one could hurt him any more than I have. The humans, they don't believe me. They don't think I exist. They will think you killed him, I told him, but he shouted back, What? I could never kill my brother. I know it doesn't really matter what... No. I know it doesn't really matter what he thinks. Everyone will know he killed him. Think about it. They will think it's you. You know it's not you, but they don't. I told him he can't go back now. It would ruin his life. I'm sorry I killed him, but you can't go home now without him. You will be exiled from humans, I told him. So what do I do? Go live in a box? He said with fear of what would come in the near future. Well, no, you would just stay with me, I told him honestly. He paused, thinking about why he couldn't go back. He knew he couldn't go back, but he was in denial. "Alright, I'll go. But don't kill me," the hooded boy asked. I wanted to reassure him he wouldn't be harmed in my care. "I will protect you. You will live with me and you can do assignments with me. Maybe a few chores now and again, but you will be set," I told him. "I will make sure nothing happens to him." "Alright, but is there sleeping and free food?" He asked, making sure. "Of course, you will be my assistant, a proxy," I told him. He seemed confused. Sometimes I forget he's only 11. "What's a proxy?" he asked curiously. I took a moment to figure out my words. "Well, proxy means something valuable. Like you represent something. To me, you will represent an assistant and a roommate," I told him. "It's getting late. When do you think we should leave?" "Are you ready to leave at all?" I asked him. The hooded boy turned to the park and then looked down at his brother's dead, mangled body. The boy looked up at their car and back at me. He looked cold, like he wanted to get out of the snow. We had been stood in the snow for over 2 hours. He seems like he's trying to let it go, but he can't. "I promise you this," I started. "You have never told me your name, and you don't have to, but if one day you would like to come back to memories, we can. You don't need to forget everything." The hooded boy looked up. "Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you my name." "I don't deserve one, though." I was puzzled by his comment, so I questioned him on it. "What do you mean?" He looked behind me into the forest. His eyes twitched all around the woods. The sun was going to set, and it was quiet back there, but he continued. "If I leave with you, everyone will probably think I'm dead. My name and face won't matter." He thought of something I hadn't. His face and name. "Well, we will have to cover your face. I've got some fabric back where I live, so you can make a mask. But for that whole name thing, you will need to figure out." I was just about to stand tall when he said, "Why don't you give me a name? I'm always named by someone. All the names I picked are stupid anyway. So name me." He begged innocently. I have never named something before. What would I name him? He does have a beige hoodie on. So how about that, Hoodie? I asked him out his name. "Why don't I just call you Hoodie?" He looked up and back at his jacket. "This is my brother's hoodie, but I guess that'll be alright." The newly named boy said, "Actually, it kind of fits me. I wear this sweater a lot," Hoodie said. "I just got a name, Hoodie. I don't want to remember my old one. I want to forget that life and leave it all behind. I'll go with Slender Man, but I don't want to die. I think he will be okay. I feel weird now, like he's my friend somehow. I guess he's comforting to some and scary to most. I think I'm ready to leave," I said, looking down at my brother. I started to cry. Slender Man came over to me and placed a large hand on my shoulder. "I know everything will be all right," he promised me. I stood taller than I had when I started crying and started walking. "Now, where do you live?" I asked him. He stopped and stood above me. "I live a few miles in that general direction." He pointed into the woods. He always talked very formal. "Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go." I tried to run with my legs limited in a foot of snow. I am still crying, but I don't think he saw it. Slenderman grabbed my hand. I think he was trying to get my feet unstuck in the snow, and lifted me up. He held me up with his tentacles behind him so I could watch where we were walking. No use running in thick snow, he told me. His tentacles were warm, and they looked like thick black vines coming from his back. "Do you live in a nice house?" I asked him. I am very curious on what kind of place a tall monster would live in. "Yeah, we're almost there. Give it a day's time," he told me. "A day? It takes a day to get to your house?" I screamed. But how are you able to get here? But how are you able to get here every school day on time?" I asked him. "Well, Hoodie, I possess the ability to teleport. I can teleport here and there in an instant." I was impressed by his gift. "Well, why can't you poof us there?" "No, it's not that easy, Hoodie. I can only poof myself," he told me. After a few hours I began to get sleepy, and then I remembered something remarkable. I felt Dad's butterfly knife in my pocket, my mum's house keys around my neck, and I wore my brother's hoodie. I will never see my mum again. She probably will think I killed my brother. It's for the best if she never sees me again. She wouldn't believe me. She would think I'm a killer. Well, if I want to go home, I'm sure in a few years I can. I have the keys. I started to cry. These items were representing my family. I don't even have a picture to remember them by, just memories, and I began to cry. I can't go back for this is the best. To go off with the stranger who killed my brother. I guess even if he did kill me, it's for the best. Slenderman's POV. The items Hoodie held were clearly important to him. He started crying. I know he will cherish them for a long time. I wonder when he will get comfortable with the living situation when we get to the mansion. I'm surprised he hasn't been getting sick around me. After a while, when I approach humans, they get sick and cough or spit blood. I think he's too young to get it. Most of my older victims get it. Children usually don't. We got to the house after a night of walking in the snow. I was cold and Slenderman looked tired, but not so much. It wasn't much of a house. It was more like a mansion. It was very empty inside and very dark and secluded from the public. There were no roads that led to it either. And when we went inside the front door, there was a little bit of damage, but we could still manage to get in and lock it. The wallpaper was peeling off the walls and the wooden floor was cracked and damaged. "Go look around and make yourself at home, for this is now," Slender told me. I began to walk around ground levels into the room, a lot which had doors that were just laying next to the door frame because they had broken off the hinges. I walked into this room. It was small. There was a slightly medium-sized placed perfectly in the middle was a dark red curtains covering it slightly. There was a mattress with dark sheets and a thick quilt thrown and placed awkwardly on the bed. The bed was placed on a box frame that sat on the floor. This is my new room. 5 years later. Today I watched Slenderman bring in few kills, his normal amount for the week. I sat on the couch reading a paper. I noticed today's date. My birthday was a few days ago. I turned 16. I got off the couch and followed him to the basement where he kept his bodies neatly stored. "Hey, haven't talked to you in a while." I laughed over my coughing. "Yes, it has been since we've had a conversation, Hoodie," he replied, placing one body on top of another. I have taken the name Hoodie quite well. My own name reminds me too much about me. Cough, cough. You know, Hoodie, you have had that cough for a while now. Maybe you should go to see one of those doctors. I guess he was right, but I haven't been to a doctor's in years, and I don't have any insurance to go and see one. I don't have a human guardian to take me either. Cough. You're funny, Slender, but did you know it was my birthday a few days ago? I asked him. He dropped the body and looked up from where he was sitting and answered, Happy 16th birthday, Hoodie, he told me. Thanks. I'm going to go for a walk for a bit, I told him, smiling. All right, just be careful. Screw walking. I wanted to go into town and know if... Screw walking. I wanted to go to town. I know there was one nearby. Maybe I'll walk there. I thought as I headed to my room. I got out a pair of scissors and started cutting holes in this black beanie from one of Slender's victims. I had cut a frown smile into it and then cut shapes out of my red curtains and sewed them in. It looked really cool, so I wore it for my walk. This is really good. No one will know what I look like. I pulled the beanie down over my face and pulled my hood up like usual. I walked for about 5 miles through the forest and came across a small town. I saw a man about 20 in and out of this doctor's office. When he had a small orange bottle filled with pills to the top, he stopped at the curb before crossing the street to his car, took about 5 of them and ate them dry. He had a cough just like mine, and I was starting to walk towards the doctor's office when Slender Man appeared behind me and pulled me down onto his knees where I was. Ugh, what now? I asked him. Don't follow him, that's Tim. He looked down at me saying, Tim is interesting. He has what you have. That cough that you have. I have been stalking him for a while and have been caught up with his friends. He's 20. He seems to have a similar interest with me as you do, he told me. His friend hates me. Tim hates me. They all want me gone, he said. I think you are all right, I told him, coughing quietly. Sure you do, he said, laughing. Slender Man barely held emotions, but he managed to make me consider him as a friend. We both followed this Tim guy for a while. Slender got this weird-looking mask, and I left it around at Tim's house from time to time. Again, he would put it on and change his personality. We would hang out, and I named him Masky. We would do all kinds of crazy stuff together. I don't know where Slender Man got this mask, but when Tim puts it on, he's Masky, and when he takes it off, and he's Tim. He doesn't remember anything when he's Masky. This way, he doesn't know his own name, so when he takes off the mask again, he's Tim again. We were